What happens when the persona, the shadow, and the inner good girl and whatever the hell Patty Simcox is all get into a fight behind the bleachers? You get grease. It is the word after all. Welcome to the awakening that smells like hairspray, hormones, and bad decisions. Grease hit the theaters on June 16, 1978. Adapted from the scrappy 1971 stage musical by Jim Jacobs and Warren Casey, a Chicago-born cigarette-smoking garage band fever dream set in the 1950s where teens process identity crises by singing and pretending adulthood is just a leather jacket away. The 1970s movie? Same setting, but dipped in full 1970s glam nostalgia. Shinier hair, hotter lighting, older actors playing teens. And a disco-era polish that makes the 1950s look like a retro fever dream someone hallucinated after inhaling too much Aquanet. Grease. Starring these people. And these people. And also these people. Gather your leather jackets, your emotional support milkshakes, and your favorite boundary-setting lip gloss. Today we're diving into Grease, a film that pretends to be a cute little 1950s musical but is actually a psychological battleground where the persona, the shadow, the inner child, and the anima and the animus all show up to fight for custody of your identity. Sandy Olsen is the patron saint of feminine transformation. The girl who starts the movie as a pastel-colored archetype and ends it as a fully integrated woman. Danny Zuko is the patron saint of performative masculinity, the boy who hides his heart behind a leather jacket and a pack of emotionally stunted friends. And Rydell High? Rydell High is the collective unconscious in saddle shoes, a place where every archetype is running wild, unsupervised, and underparented. Seriously. Where the actual F are these 30-year-old high schoolers' parents?
Good to meet you. He's been here longer than I have.
We're walking through their journey, stage by stage, because this movie is secretly a Jungian case study in identity, desire, projection, and the mask we wear to be loved. But first, let's hit that under 2-minute synopsis, shall we? Grease is basically what happens when innocence, desire, repression, and social pressure collide and the universe says, let's see what y'all do with this. Sandy meets Danny during a summer romance where both of them are their truest selves. Soft, open, unmasked, and unguarded. But when school starts, Danny immediately switches to his T-Bird persona, and Sandy gets spiritually whiplashed watching the boy she fell for turn into a swaggering cartoon of toxic masculinity. Sandy tries to fit in. Danny tries to play it cool. The pink ladies try to coach her. The T-Birds try to shame him. And everyone around them is projecting their own insecurities like it's a group assignment they didn't study for. By the end, Sandy transforms not into someone new, but into someone unapologetically whole. Danny drops the act, the masks fall. The real selves meet again. Not in innocence, but in integration. Grease is a musical, a myth, and a reminder that the persona will always crack under the weight of the self, and that sometimes the only way to grow is to stop pretending you're smaller than you are. Grease down your tresses, grab your pink lady attitude, and pull up to the spiritual sock hop. Because now we're about to break these character archetypes down like we're doing the hand jive. You dig? Sandy Olsen, she's the good girl, the innocent maiden, the awakened self. In her light form, she's purity, sincerity, emotional openness, and genuine care for others. Translation, she's the human equivalent of a warm vanilla cupcake. In her shadow form, though, she's self-erasure, repression, compulsive niceness, and shrinking to stay acceptable. She's basically performing emotional origami to fit inside everyone's expectations. In her individuated form, she's innocence fused with agency. She can be kind without abandoning herself. Yes, she actually individuates in this movie. The girl graduates from pastel prison. Sandy's archetype forms from cultural and social expectations around good femininity. Individuation begins when she stops auditioning for approval and starts choosing her own desires and her truths. Basically, the moment she stops spiritually curtsying, her soul finally clocks in. Daniel Bartholomew Zuko. The cool guy, performer, wounded boy. In his light form, Daniel is charisma, confidence, charm, and magnetic leadership energy. He's basically a walking hair gel commercial with feelings. In his shadow form, though, he's emotional avoidance, status obsession, bravado, and fear-based masculinity. His ego is held together with pomade and panic. In his individuated form, he's vulnerability without losing swagger, heart-led masculinity that can actually feel. His individuation in this movie is attempted, but not quite achieved. Let's be honest here. He's still spiritually in detention. Rizzo, the rebel, wounded feminine, truth teller. In her light form, Rizzo is bold, authenticity, emotional honesty, and refusal to play nice for approval. She's the patron saint of I said what I said. In her shadow form, though, she's defensiveness, shame-driven rebelliousness, and preemptive rejection of others before they can reject her. She's emotionally flipping Rydell High lunch tables before anyone even sits down. In her individuated form, she's power without armor, rebellion rooted in truth instead of pain. Individuation begins with Rizzo, but she's still carrying a few spiritual brass knuckles. Rizzo's archetype forms from early emotional wounds and being misjudged. Individuation begins when she stops using rebellion as a shield and lets herself be loved without performing toughness. Her heart wants healing, but her trauma still wants a cigarette. Kaneki, the shadow masculine, loyalist, unhealed warrior. In his light form, Kaneki is loyalty, courage, protective instinct, and ride or die energy. He's the guy who will fight someone for you even if he doesn't even know why. Basically, he's just standing around going, where they at? Where they at? In his shadow form, he's aggression, insecurity, emotional immaturity, and proving himself through danger and bravado. His emotional development is still in the learning to walk phase, unfortunately. In his individuated form, he's strength with softness, the warrior who can protect and still feel. Individuation is suggested with Kaneki, but the boy is still spiritually bench pressing his feelings. Kaneki's archetype forms from masculine scripts equating toughness with worth. Individuation begins when he realizes intimacy is not weakness, and loyalty can include emotional truth. He's one hug away from healing, but masculinity keeps unplugging the charger. Together with Rizzo, they rule the school as the Pink Ladies, the feminine tribe, social gatekeepers. Individually, though, they are Frenchie, the guide, the inner child, the dreamer. In her light form, Frenchie is optimism, imagination, nurturing energy, and genuine sweetness. She's a cosmic cupcake with bangs. In her shadow form, though, she's avoidance, confusion, lack of grounding, and escaping into fantasy instead of making decisions. Her spiritual GPS keeps saying recalculating. In her individuated form, she's creativity with direction, dreams anchored in reality and self-trust. Individuation is hinted at with Frenchie, but the universe still needs to send her a calendar invite. Frenchie's archetype forms from wanting to be special and belonging without knowing how. Individuation begins for her when she listens to her inner guidance and chooses a path that honors her gifts. Her guardian angel is exhausted but supportive. The next pink lady in waiting is Marty. Maraschino. You know, like in Cherry. Marty is the siren, the social strategist. In her light form, she's charm, confidence, social intelligence, and playful sensuality. She flirts like it's a competitive sport. In her shadow form, though, she's validation seeking, performative femininity, and using allure as currency. Her self-worth is currently outsourced to male attention, period. In her individuated form, she embodies sensuality without manipulation, owning her magnetism as truth and not strategy. Individuation does not happen here. She's still spiritually billing by the week. Marty's archetype forms from learning that attention equals power. Individuation begins for Marty when she stops chasing external validation and starts valuing her inner worth. She'll get there once she stops dating the entire postal service. Last, but definitely not least, is Miss Jan Brusher herself. The sweetheart, the comic relief, the inner child. In her life form, Jan is warmth, sincerity, innocence, and genuine friendliness. She's the emotional support cinnamon roll of the group. In her shadow form, though, Jan is insecure, filled with self-doubt. She's socially awkward and hiding behind humor. She's spiritually giggling through the pain. In her individuated form, she's playfulness with confidence, innocence that doesn't collapse under scrutiny. Individuation is lightly touched, but she's still in beta testing. Jan's archetype forms from the wanting to be liked and safe in the group. Individuation begins for Jan when she embraces her quirks as strengths instead of liabilities. Her inner child is adorable and slightly overwhelmed. Altogether, the pink ladies in their light form are sisterhood, protection, belonging, and shared identity. They're a glitter-coated girl gang with emotional bylaws. In their shadow form, though, they're peer pressure, hierarchy, emotional policing, and enforcing cool girl rules. They're basically the HOA of femininity. In their individuated form, they're community without conformity, space where each girl can be fully herself. Individuation does not happen, unfortunately. They're too busy managing the vibe. Their archetype forms the collective survival strategies in a patriarchal environment. Individuation begins when they allow authenticity inside the group instead of demanding performance. They'll evolve once they stop spiritually hazing each other.
Well, here we are again.
Yeah, but this time we're seniors.
And we're gonna rule the school.
Well, if it isn't Patty Simcox, the bad seed of Rydell High.
Patty Simcox, the bad seed of Rydell High.
Patty Simcox, the perky overachiever, the persona police, the smiling superego. In her light form, if we saw it, she's enthusiastic, optimistic, school spirit energy, and the ability to organize a pep rally in her sleep. She's the human embodiment of a glitter-covered planner. In her shadow form, though, which there is much of, Patty is performative perfection, judgment disguised as cheerfulness, and passive-aggressive moral superiority. She weaponizes pep like it's a controlled substance. In her individuated form, Patty is authentic goodness without the performance. Kindness that isn't sponsored by the PTA. Individuation does not happen. She's spiritually stapled to her persona. Patty's archetype forms from the pressure to be perfect, pure, and publicly delightful. She's the persona police, enforcing good girl norms with a smile that could cut glass. Individuation would require for Patty to admit she has a shadow, which she absolutely will not be doing before graduation. Cha-Cha de Gregorio. Say that 5 times fast. She's the best dancer at St. Bernadette's.
They call me Cha-Cha, because I'm the best dancer at St. Bernadette, with the worst reputation.
The Shadow Siren, the Chaos Feminine, and the Competitive Anima. In her light form, Cha-Cha is sensual confidence, electric presence, and the kind of charisma that could start a small fire. She walks into the dance like she invented hips. In her shadow form, though, she's performative seduction, competitive femininity, and weaponized sexuality used as a social power play. She's basically the final boss of high school thirst traps. In her individuated form, Cha-Cha is embodied sensuality without sabotage. A woman who knows her power without needing to steal the spotlight. Individuation does not happen here. She's too busy spiritually drop-kicking Sandy at the dance. Cha-Cha's archetype forms from the belief that desirability equals dominance. She's the shadow siren who thrives on attention and chaos. Individuation would require her to stop treating femininity like a competitive sport, but she's booked and busy being dramatic. Color me Grease Lightning is the T-Birds. The masculine tribe, the performers, the status pack. In their light form, the T-Birds are a brotherhood of loyalty, shared identity, and mutual support. They strut in formation like emotionally confused penguins. In their shadow form, though, they are toxic masculinity, emotional suppression, groupthink, and mockery of vulnerability. Feelings? Never heard of her. In their individuated form, the T-Birds are masculinity rooted in truth and not performance. Friendship that can hold feelings. Individuation does not happen. They rather die than cry. Their archetype forms from cultural expectations of cool and toughness. Individuation begins when vulnerability enters the group and emotional honesty stops being a punchline. Spoiler, emotional honesty never stops being a punchline. Leo, Crater Face, Balmudo. The Shadow Enforcer, the Ego Bully, the Unintegrated Animus. In his light form, if he showed any, Leo would be ascendancy, confidence, physical presence, and the ability to command a room through sheer chaotic energy. He's basically a walking caution sign that says testosterone ahead. In his shadow form, he's intimidation, though. Insecurity masked as aggression, compulsive competition, and the need to assert superiority to avoid feeling small. His emotional regulation style is violence and vibes. In his individuated form, Leo would be strength without threat. Grounded masculinity that doesn't require fear to feel powerful. Individuation does not happen, obviously. He's too busy spiritually drag racing his unprocessed trauma. Leo's archetype forms from the belief that dominance equals identity. He's the shadow enforcer, the guy who polices masculinity by making sure everyone else feels slightly terrified. His entire persona is a defense mechanism wearing a leather jacket. Individuation would require him to confront the insecurity underneath the bravado, but Craterface would rather challenge it to a fistfight. His inner child is hiding behind a dumpster smoking a cigarette. A lot of cigarettes in this thing. Rydell High, the collective unconscious, the archetypal playground. In its light form, Rydell High is a shared experience, a cultural identity, a youthful possibility, and a symbolic container for growth. It's basically Hogwarts for hormones. In its shadow form, though, Rydell is social pressure, conformity, archetypal chaos, and unexamined norms. Every archetype is running around unsupervised like spiritual toddlers. Individuated form, Rydell High is a psychic arena where every archetype is forced into contact and conflict. The school itself does not individuate, it just hosts the chaos. Rydell High functions as the psyche's ecosystem. Every archetype running wild in one symbolic space. Individuation happens to its student body through the collisions, humiliations, and awakenings that occur inside this school. It's the cosmic cafeteria where everyone's shadow orders lunch. Now that we've met the whole cast of archetypes, the good girl, the cool guy, the rebel, the siren, the shadow, the chaos queen, and whatever species Patty Simcox is, it's time to slide under the hood and look at the psychological engine actually driving this movie. Because Grease isn't just a musical. It's a full Jungian case study disguised as a pep rally. So let's drop the needle, dim the lights, and head straight into the persona, the shadow, and the messy little unconscious that keeps stalling Danny's emotional transmission. So, at stage 1, the persona, this is who I think I should be. How does this play out in the plot? Well, at the Rydell bonfire, when Sandy runs up expecting the soft beach boy who held her hand in the surf, Danny instantly snaps into his T-Bird cool guy persona like someone hit the swagger button.
I got a surprise for you.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Sandy!
What are you doing here? I thought you were about to Australia.
We had a change of plans.
I can't.
Well, that's cool, baby. I mean, you know how it is. Rockin', rollin', whatnot.
Danny?
Then, he starts puffing up for his emotionally stunted T-Bird entourage.
But the name don't wear it out.
What's with you?
What's the matter with me, baby? What's the matter with you?
What happened to the Danny took my man at the beach?
Well, I do not know. I mean, maybe it's two of us, right? Why don't you take out a missing persons and try the yellow pages? I don't know.
All the while, Rizzo, the shadow agent who engineered this ambush,
Whoa. So she laid her eyes on you, huh, Zuko?
smirks in satisfaction because Sandy's sweetness pokes every bruise Rizzo earned from boys, forcing her to watch the one thing she cannot stand: vulnerability she herself no longer remembers how to access. Rizzo's whole deal is that she wants to be vulnerable. She's starving for it, actually. But she's built her entire personality around being the cool girl who doesn't care, doesn't flinch, and doesn't get her heart bruised. So when Sandy shows up with her soft-spoken sweetness and emotional honesty, Rizzo feels spiritually allergic. Because choosing vulnerability now would mean admitting that the cool girl act was never confidence, just armor she welded on in freshman year and can't take off without a blowtorch and a therapist. Hence her little Sandra D mockery number.
This could be two shoes makes me want to bark.
In stage 2, the shadow, the parts of me I'm afraid to show. How does this play out in the plot? Well, at the Rydell dance, when Cha-Cha slinks in like Sandy's shadow, wearing a...
How you doing, Rizzo, baby?
and immediately yanks Danny onto the floor for a full concert ego massage. Sandy's jealousy and desire finally make a break for it. Rizzo, at this point, is too busy wrestling her own shadows in the form of Kaneki and Craterface, her reputation, and emotional landmines, to pay Sandy any attention. Cha-Cha becomes Sandy's new shadow agitator and displays all the sensuality and self-assuredness that Sandy feels she cannot and or does not even possess. Sandy storms out in an angry huff just before Danny and Cha-Cha become the center of attention and win the National Bandstand dance-off. Sandy can't bear to watch. Okay, I see what you're doing there, Cha-Cha. I don't condone, that behavior, but you're looking good though. Good, looking good while doing it is all I can, say about it, really. Do you think? Contextually, it's important to remember that in the 1950s, Sandy's jealousy and desire might be waking up on the dance floor, but the minute Cha-Cha flaunts her sensual confidence, the film quietly reminds us that embracing sexuality wasn't just about feeling empowered. It meant being expected to follow through. A risk Sandy's good girl persona is terrified of. And the shadow consequence of that expectation is spelled out in Rizzo's arc, where Never Saying No has her singing a torch song confession about how girls at Rydell High get punished, whether they're Sandy sweet or Rizzo bold. In stage 3, the wound. I don't know how to be myself and be loved. How does this play out in the plot? At the drive-in, when Danny nervously offers Sandy his class ring in the world's most painfully wholesome attempt at tenderness.
Sandy, I'm sorry. Sandy, would you,
Daddy, I don't know what to say.
say yes?
Yes. Oh. Daddy, this means so much to me. Because I know now that you respect me.
Before immediately sabotaging it with T-Bird installed boob grabbing.
I'm not getting a cold.
Oh, no. It's just probably a little driving dust. That's all.
Could space monsters mate with Earth women? See the startling answer in the shocker of the whole.
Oh, Sandy!
Dude, what? Sandy's good girl persona shuts him down so fast you can hear her chastity belt snap.
Sandy, what's the matter with you? I did something to you!
You think I'm gonna stay with you in this sandlot? You can take this piece of tin?
Sandy, you just can't walk out of the drive-in!
Danny's emotional engine stalls right there in the front seat. And their shared wound, the terror that being their real selves will get them rejected, gets turned into a humiliating public spectacle complete with popcorn, fogged windows, and a walk-off that feels less like a date and more like a spiritual eviction notice. It's important to remember, though, that in the 1950s, a girl saying no at the drive-in wasn't just a boundary. It was practically a moral performance review. It was an audition for a respectable girl. So when Sandy shuts Danny down after his T-Bird installed boob grab, he sulks and takes it as proof she doesn't care about him, completely missing that her good girl persona is the only thing standing between her and social execution. Meanwhile, the film quietly shows us the opposite shadow extreme of Sandy's choices through Rizzo, whose shadow reveals what happens when you never say no. You get judged, shamed, spiritually tackled by the rumor mill, and you get a pregnancy scare to boot, making Sandy's refusal and Rizzo's rebellion two sides of the same wound. Girls at Rydell and otherwise are punished whether they say yes or no, and boys weaponize this confusion into entitlement, and everyone at Rydell is emotionally failing sex ed before it even existed. Stage 4, the anima and the animus. You awaken something in me. How does this play out in the plot? In the aftermath of the drive-in fiasco, when Sandy's disappointed stare hits Danny harder than any ego hit he ever took at Thunder Road, his anima, the soft beach boy he keeps locked in emotional solitary confinement, finally wakes up and starts rattling the bars, while Sandy's animus gets jolted awake by Danny's chaotic attempts at self-improvement.
Give me, there has to be something more than what they see. Wholesome and pure, so scared and unsure. But warm and Sandra. Great. Yeah. What's the matter? Aren't you happy? No, not really, Frenchie, but I think I know where I could be. Help me? Of course.
Oh no, Danny, what you doing? Don't do that, Danny. Don't do. Oh no. Oh, okay. All right.
Danny. Danny, are you alright?
Track team, Letterman sweater, the whole I swear I can be respectable starter pack.
It is Rizzo! You gotta be kidding me! It's Halloween! If you swipe this Letterman sweater, tools are out with the love test on Letterman track. I mean, like, I can't believe it. Danny Zuko turned jock? That's right, I did. You doing deserting us? Well, you guys can't follow you all the lines, can you? Oh, come on, guys. You know you mean a lot to me. It's just as Sandy does too, and I'm gonna do anything I can to get it.
And Rydell High becomes the psychic training ground where both of them realize that wanting each other isn't enough. They actually have to grow up. Which in 1950s at Rydell High is basically the equivalent of standing in as a second at Thunder Road, lettering in track, squeezing into skin-tight black sharkskin pants, riding your hair and piercing your ears without puking, while smoking like you're auditioning for a lung cancer commercial. And winning Crater faces Pinks in a race that basically serves as the Rydell High's rites of passage for boys and girls who don't know how to talk about their feelings. Which brings us to stage 5, the Dark Knight. I can't keep pretending. How does this play out in the plot? Well, when Rizzo finally detonates her cool girl persona and sings, "There are worse things I could do than go with a boy or two."
There are worse things I could do than go with a boy or two.
Under the bleachers, like a woman confessing her shadow to the fluorescent gods, Sandy's good girl mask cracks like cheap drugstore nail polish, and Rydell High becomes the emotional fallout zone where everyone realizes that in the 1950s, vulnerability is basically a social death wish. Which is why Rizzo's pregnancy scare hits like a moral atom bomb, and Sandy suddenly sees that being a good girl won't save her any more than being bad saved Rizzo.
Listen, Rizzo, I know that we haven't been the best of friends, but if there's anything I can do.
Oh, I can take care of myself and anybody else that comes along. You think I don't know what people are saying about me? Hey! Thanks. That's the one I was telling you about. Candy Simcox, the Bessie, the Rydell High.
Watching Rizzo suffer for being too sexual and herself suffer for being not sexual enough, Sandy realizes her good girl persona won't protect her. Repression isn't virtue, it's a trap. And the mask she's been wearing starts to split right down the middle. Rizzo's cool girl persona finally collapses when her pregnancy scare forces her to admit the vulnerability she's been dodging the entire movie. Her torch song, Confession, is her shadow stepping forward and saying she's tired of pretending she just doesn't care. Kanicki's clumsy attempt to step up, offering support, responsibility, and a shaky version of commitment to Rizzo, reveals his own cracked persona, showing that beneath his swagger, he's just as scared, tender, and unprepared as Rizzo, making their dynamic the film's most honest glimpse of teenage love.
Rizzo, I hear you're knocked up.
You do, huh?
Yeah.
Boy, good news really travels fast.
Why don't you tell me about it?
What's it to you?
I thought I might be able to do something.
You did enough.
I learn away from my mistakes.
Hey, don't worry about it, Kanicki. It was somebody else's mistake.
Thanks a lot, kid.
Anytime.
6. The Transformation. I'm done playing small. How does it play on the plot? By the time the carnival rolls in, Sandy has fired her good girl persona like a summer job she's done apologizing for and shows up in black sharkskin pants, cigarette confidence, and animus activated agency that says she's finally choosing desire on her own terms. While Danny drops the T-Bird swagger, sheds the leather like its emotional dead skin, and steps forward in his Letterman sweater as the beach boy he buried, leaving Rydell High to witness the moment both of them stop performing who they're supposed to be and transform into who they actually are. Two crazy kids choosing each other without the costumes, the personas, or the 1950s morality play.
If you squat this Letterman sweater, tools are out with the love test on Leonard and track. I mean, like, I can't believe it. Danny, you go turn jock? That's right, I did. Sandy?
Tell me about it.
Step.
You're the One That I Want is the musical number we get in this stage that outlines it all. Sandy's transformation in the number is her not just showing up in leather. She shows up in agency. Her animus is fully online. She's choosing desire. She's choosing Danny. She's choosing herself. She's choosing adulthood. And the song lets her declare it out loud. Her vocals shift from breathy innocence to confident command. She's not asking Danny to want her. She's telling him she's ready to meet him as his equal. The choreography reinforces this. She leads, she teases, she controls the tempo. She's not the girl waiting for Danny to pick her. She's the woman choosing him. Her leather isn't rebellion, it's integration. It's her shadow and persona finally meeting under a rat comb and some hairspray. Danny's transformation in the number, from his Letterman sweater, is the anima-activated version of himself, the beach boy he buried under T-Bird's swagger. But when Sandy arrives in full animus glory, Danny realizes he doesn't have to choose between cool and good. He can be both. His vocals soften, his movements lose the T-Bird bravado. He follows Sandy's lead, literally and symbolically. Danny's transformation is about humility. He drops the performance, he drops the act, he drops the emotional armor. He lets himself be the boy who loves Sandy on the beach. Not the guy performing masculinity for T-Birds or Critterface or Cha-Cha or anybody else. The song itself is a ritual. You're the One That I Want is the integration ceremony. The call and response vocals mirror their inner dialogue finally syncing together. The push-pull choreography shows their personas dissolving. The carnival setting symbolizes rebirth. The wheel of fortune literally turning behind them. The energy of the number is ecstatic because they're finally choosing each other without the 1950s morality play breathing down their necks. Stage 7, the self. This is who I am. How does this play out in the plot? Well, by the end of the carnival, after Sandy and Danny have shed their personas and integrated their shadows and sung their way through a full mythic rebirth, they return to Rydell world not as the good girl and the greaser, but as their actual grown selves, choosing each other without the 1950s morality script, without the social costumes, and without the fear, which is why the finale image of them flying off in grease lightning isn't camp, but archetype. The symbolic exit from the old identity, the old rules, and the old selves. Circle the 1970s. Let's get real here. A literal ascension that says the journey is complete and they're finally free. The return equals integration. They come back to the ordinary world of Rydell as transformed versions of themselves, Not performing, not posturing, not hiding. The flying car equals archetypal extension. It's not a gag, it's not a joke. It's not just Greece being weird. It's the mythic symbol of transcendence. The lovers rise above the personal world, the social rules, the 1950s constraints, and the adolescent identities they've outgrown. The carnival equals communal witnessing. The entire school watches their transformation. It's a ritual. It's a graduation. It's psychic homecoming. It has a dual meaning though. So let's discuss the dual meaning of the ascension. Mythic transcendence plus sexual euphemism equals Greece's final wink. The clouds equal sexual heights in 1950s film language. The clouds equal sexual heights. In 1950s film language, you couldn't show teenagers having sex. Or in the 1970s, showing the 1950s, you couldn't show teenagers having sex. You couldn't even say it. You had to imply it with trains entering tunnels and fireworks and fade outs. And in Greece's case, a car literally ascending into the clouds. It's the cinematic equivalent of they finally did that thing. You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying. The car rising is a visual metaphor for climax, coded in only the way a 1950s set musical from the 70s could get away with. They go up, they reach heights, they ascend, they lift off. It's all winking, PG-friendly innuendo. Why this ending makes sense for these characters, though, is because Sandy and Danny's arc has all been about desire, repression, misunderstanding, miscommunication, persona masks, shadow fears, and the tension between wanting each other and not being able to act on it. By stage 7, they've integrated themselves, they've chosen each other, they've claimed their agency, they've dropped the persona scripts. So the ascension is the symbolic moment where they finally say, I want to experience you fully, emotionally, psychologically, and yes, sexually. It's the film saying they're whole now. They're ready. They're finally meeting each other in every sense. Okay, so let's talk about Olivia Newton-John's sharkskin pants. Authentic sharkskin pants for her last numbers in Greece. Okay, and those black tight, numbers she's prancing around in during the "You're the One That I Want" number and the "We Go Together Really Bad" ending number before the movie goes off. So in her memoir, Olivia Newton-John revealed that those are some legendary black sharkskin pants that she's got on. Okay, they weren't some 1970s costume department concoction. They were authentically 1950s, the real deal, vintage, tight as an existential crisis, honey. And so old school, they practically smell like Eisenhower's America. They were also impossibly demonically tight. So much so that she literally couldn't get into them on her own. The zipper had like given up on life a long time ago. The fabric had zero stretch, and the pants were basically a shiny black like exoskeleton. So every morning of filming, wardrobe had to sew her into them, like she was being like ritually installed into Sandy's animus, awakening like by a team of needle wielding priestesses or some shit. She couldn't sit, she couldn't pee, she couldn't even breathe deeply, but she could transform, and that's what mattered, you know. Olivia said the pants were so tight she had to stand between takes. And when filming wrapped up, they literally cut her out of them, like symbolically shedding the good girl persona, if there ever really was one. It's crazy. I love it though. So, Grease is the very first movie I ever saw in my entire life. And Grease was the very first movie my father ever took me to see. And Grease is my favorite movie of all time, with like a few other ones, including Full Metal Jacket. But you know, we'll talk about Stanley Kubrick later down the line. But I absolutely love Grease. Even though it's a 1950s problematic-ish romp now, it didn't age well, obviously, but so many movies didn't. But Grease has a special place in my heart, and that's the reason why I chose it to do this breakdown first. It will forever be the movie that introduced me to movies, and the reason why I love movies so much. And I loved so much being able to share it with you. So, what did we learn? Grease is not a teen musical. It is a spiritual initiation disguised as a sock hop. Sandy is the blueprint for feminine integration, shadow reclamation, identity awakening, the death of the good girl archetype, the rise of the embodied self. And Danny is the blueprint for masculine vulnerability, persona collapse, emotional revolution, the courage to be seen as you truly are and desire to be. And that, my loves, was Grease. Not a teen musical, but a full-blown identity exorcism wrapped in poodle skirts and peer pressure. If this breakdown reminded you that the good girl archetype is just a cage with better lighting, where the masculine persona will crumble the second vulnerability walks into the room, go ahead and like, share, and subscribe so the algorithm knows you're done living small. Remember, the real glow up isn't Sandy's outfit. It's the moment she stops auditioning for other people's comfort and starts performing for her own soul. Until next time, honor your shadow, trust your desire, and let your true self walk into the room like you're the one that you want. The drive-in is closed. The masks are off. I'm just P, and that's the end for now. Patty Simcox, the bad seed, Rydell High. Oh my God, poor Patty Simcox. I can't. But you know, you're a shadow character. You can't really expect much love. You know, being a shadow character, this is kind of the nature of the business. You know, it just is what it is.